Hey, my fellow multidimensionals, it's AjaAndromeda, founder of multidimensionalu.com. So, wow, in this final weekly vlog for 2019, I have a few things I want to talk about. Ascension symptoms have really kicked up for many of us right now, so I'm going to be talking about those and doing some live channeling on what is that all about right now. Before we get going, though, I want to do some thank you. So thank you to Jen in Prince Edward Island, or I should say it is an island. Of course, the location of one of my most cherished childhood books and films, Anne of Green Gables. So thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate your support. And to Margaret in Texas, thank you for your kind words as well and donation. All right, so we're going to talk ascension symptoms, do a little channeling. We're also going to talk about the incoming star kids. I did put out in my latest New Earth Engineering build-out update, there was a modification to the multidimensional Stargate that was put in place for incoming star kids. So I'll do kind of a recap and an update on all of that. Yeah, I can feel them coming through my field. Their presence is becoming increasingly known as many more of them are beginning to hit the planet or are in some form of conception now. So, but let's back up and let's talk about, I don't know, the last 5 years, but certainly this year and the latter half of this year have felt to me like, for those of us on the active awakening journey and, remembering activations, this huge expansion that our identities, our field of consciousness, these physical avatars are going through feels like cramming in finals week. This is the best analogy I have of what that feels like. It's just kind of like, you have to be almost in endurance mode because the shifts and upgrades are so frequent and there isn't a lot of integration time between them. That's just characterized, at least for me and many of the people that I work with all over the planet for the last 6 months, that has just been full on, game on. And then right now, in the last week or so, couple weeks, it seems like what I'm hearing more and more, myself included, I've come through the really big shift that I just went through that really had me offline and somewhat just kind of semi-functional. You've heard me talk about the caterpillar digesting itself to become the butterfly. That's this last phase I went through, the intensity of which was very similar to what I went through in 2012, if that tells you anything. But in addition to kind of going through that level of intense shift, many of us right now are going through fatigue. You can probably hear it in my voice. Just feeling extra tired. I've been having to take naps at 11 in the morning, just go pass out. A lot of people are experiencing some degree of nausea, intermittent vertigo. When I was going through my big shift recently here, I had a lot of vertigo, really, really kind of destabilizing. So self-care is a priority, is a must during this time, keeping yourself extremely well hydrated, well nourished, not just physical intake, but media intake, the people you're around, just being very self-aware around what are you putting in your multidimensional ecosystem. What are some of the other things I've heard? Those are headaches, intense headaches, even pain in the fascia or joints. You're hearing my throat do its thing. Lots of weird throat stuff for me lately, and then even kind of flushing and what feels like really itchy skin, not quite hives, but just really itchy skin around the high heart and throat area. So yeah, it just feels like, woo, it's all purging itself as we go through this. We're right, still in the winter solstice gateway and on into 2020, which that year, just saying those numbers is a multidimensional communication, and the year adds up, of course, to a 4, which is the foundational number, build-out number for New Earth. That's why I often see the number 44 or 444 everywhere. Now, let's talk about the nausea for a minute, because if you're a woman, many people are tending to think, uh-oh, am I pregnant? And I think in the majority of cases, you're not. A lot of this it's like what we feel, it's like altitude sickness, right? So when we go up so drastically in vibration or frequency, we have the same feelings we often have going up vertically in this dimension and elevation. Same for a detox, we're getting those. So I think the majority of people are not experiencing, a pregnancy, but that is not to say that some of you aren't, right? Because as you know, if you've been following me, that Nikola Tesla got a hold of me in 2018, make sure I understood that part of my main soul contract is to support the incoming star children that are already here, that are on their way. Not so much as helping them remember who they are. It's just helping them hold their own in their own confident knowing of who they are in the face of a world that is largely still very disconnected. And then within the last month, working with another starseed, we ended up creating a multidimensional stargate that holds the integrity of their frequency so that the incoming star kids now don't have to go into full-on distortion and density. But then just recently in the last week or so, they came back and said, yoo-hoo, we're coming in and out of our mother's bodies and our family's environment, and whoa, separation consciousness is intense and dense. Will you build us an intermediary structure? So we ended up creating a fifth dimensional, they called it a creche, like a nursery, let's just hang out here. And while we're here, we'll, kind of calibrate ourselves, and we're going to calibrate our family. So they're able from that space to be able to pull the families and the mothers that they're in up into an even higher frequency. So yeah, so I was tremendously sick when my daughter came in 2006 in my pregnancy, and I look back now and it all makes sense. Super high frequency field of consciousness coming into a lower, denser field of consciousness. There is that effect of, whoa, nausea, vertigo, the intensity of it. In fact, I just heard someone describe their memory of trying to come into physical form in birth, and that feeling of, oh my gosh, I can't fit. I am this enormous field of consciousness. I can't fit into that. I can't fit into that vessel. So, trust your intuition and instincts, and if you do have one of these incoming star kids, I will be doing a channeled series in 2020 where I will be bringing through a lot of their direct communication and how to support them and all of that. I'm really looking forward to that myself. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what comes through. So with all that said, what's coming in now as we move into this next threshold, this next calendar year as we've organized it in our consciousness here in the world of form, it seems as though the most important thing we can be doing is bringing our bodies with us, right? So ascension, right? This is coming back down into a very grounded state and then shifting the field that this body and its bioenergetic structure comprise. That seems to be a very important priority as we move forward. So as I won't be recording a video for a few weeks here. I'm going to take some time off, some much needed recalibration time. So in the next few weeks, I encourage all of us to, retreat inward, take a moment to balance, come back into balance, whatever got out of balance this year, bring that back into balance, and set yourself up for allowing yourself to recalibrate and reattune to what your higher dimensional field of consciousness is prompting, this whole structure to expand into. We aren't necessarily, some of us are changing geographic locations, but we're all changing vibrational coordinates. So it's a pretty big deal right now. All right, so let me shift into, let's see who wants to come in and give us a little bit more information on what we're going through right now, especially ascension symptoms. So just give me a second here while I kind of move to the side and let whoever wants to come in come through. So I'm just going to do a little light language to kind of clear out my field. Greetings, we are the Arcturians. We are most pleased to be here and share this particular moment in space and time with all of you. Take a moment to connect to our energy center. Wonderful. Now that you have connected in, you will be able to receive this message even more effectively. We are happy to bring the information to you that the human collective has been working on a series of timeline permutations. This is an ever-dynamic field of changing possibilities and potentialities. There are enough awakened, meaning more conscious, more self-aware, and more self-determined individuals in your population than ever before. This is allowing a collective focus on one particular set of higher probabilities or timelines. And this is why we often bring the message that your past is no longer a reference, or no longer a useful reference, we should clarify. For what you are beginning to create, the reference point comes from experience and existence in advanced civilizations beyond this planetary sphere. So allow yourself to be reassured and feel comfortable in the knowledge that higher dimensional timelines are putting themselves together in a more self-aware and self-determined way than ever before within this group of human population. So let go of worry and concern, efforting and striving. And as your channel would tell you, move into the 0 point. We would call this the realm of infinite possibility. This is where you will unlock even more of your greater potential, again, based in a reference point that is not local. This is a very powerful shift that the human population is making at this time. And from our vantage point, it is extremely exciting to see the flourishing of love and compassion in your planetary sphere. More of the ahas and insights as more and more and more of you extricate yourselves from the prison of judgment, fear, conflict, and the us and them construct that keeps people locked in an ever-ending back and forth state of winning and losing, giving and taking, creating a pendulum swing which never fully moves the needle forward, so to speak, but keeps people moving in a very similar lateral, horizontal set of codes or frequencies. What you all are doing now is moving into a much higher dimensional set of potentialities. And as you do this, you begin to unlock the constructs that have lodged themselves into your physical structure. As they release, you will feel temporary bouts of discomfort, even pain in your muscular skeletal structure. This is surfacing dormant, rigid structures, old wounds, and ancestral karmic line injuries and trauma. So allow this all to move through your field without becoming too concerned about a literal diagnosis in this physical dimension here and now. Much of what is purging itself from your field is an energetic transmission. So you are quite literally self-liberating from within your human structure. And this is allowing the human structure to begin running higher dimensional templates and codes. The new human prototype is coming through in live streaming in the ever-present now. And those of you that make use of this window to release and heal will be able to upload, if you will, this new prototype, this upgrade to the human avatar for which it was designed. For this is an incredible multidimensional vehicle that your consciousness inhabits. And as more of you allow this expansion and this release to take place, you put yourselves back into a field of unity consciousness, and you will build a completely different civilization. This brings us back to our reference to these higher dimensional set of timelines that the human population has already begun to focus on. This is not in the future, this is in the now. We will only ever bring information to you about your now, because you can always change the linear future from the now. But if you are spending too much time in the future, you are not making any changes in the now. Do you see? We are the Arcturians, and we are most pleased to spend this time with you. Okay, as they receded, I saw what looked like a stretched out diamond, but like horizontally. It's beautiful. It's like the Stargate closed. All right, wow. Lots of information there. Yeah, yoga, stretching, dancing, walking, swimming, Epsom salt baths, hydrating, so that this can regenerate and upload the live streaming new codes that are coming in and always available to us. Not when we're focused on what's going to happen, but when we're right here, determining what is happening and what will happen. Beautiful. All right, well, I'm wishing you all a very wonderful holiday season wherever you happen to be. Stay in the present moment. Stay in that 0 point, that field of infinite possibility. And I will see you all in 2020. Love you.